Hey there, Chiefs Kingdom. We are almost at 55,000 subscribers. You guys' support has been incredible. Let's keep the momentum rolling here. Hit that subscribe button if you want news, rumors, free agency coverage, OTAs, training camp, and of course, full in-season videos on a daily basis as well. Subscribe. We're 250 away. Welcome into the Chiefs Report by Chat Sports. I am Harrison Graham. Couple of wide receiver rumors out there that I wanted to discuss. Let's go ahead and dive into it here. The first one is Michael Thomas. Could Kansas City sign the longtime Saint who is still looking for a new home? Bleacher Report dropped an article of one move each team should make before training camp. They had the Chiefs signing Michael Thomas. Wide receiver rumors continuing to circulate around this team as the unknown future of Rashee Rice is still out there. Here's Matt Holder of Bleacher Report saying Rashee Rice, the team's top receiver in 2023, will likely face some discipline from the NFL this fall, so it would be a smart move to bring in Thomas, especially since Kansas City doesn't need a deep threat, but there might need someone to operate out of the slot to replace Rice. And I do actually like this fit and agree with that point. Now, the one thing that's not a question, but at least something to wonder is the slot specifically. I think Michael Thomas could play slot, and I actually think it could be a good move for the latter part of his career because he isn't a guy that's going to win downfield that often, but he can operate in the underneath area, drags, slants, option routes, that type of stuff. So maybe a move to the slot makes more sense, but he hasn't played a ton out of the slot, so just keep that in mind. Obviously, the story with Thomas the last 4 years, 2021, he missed all of that season, by the way. He just has missed a lot of time. Now, last year he played in 10 games, so he was more healthy, but 46 games missed since 2019. So out of the last 4 seasons, he's almost missed 12 games a year. That's not great. I think that is something you have to factor in. If you're going to sign Michael Thomas, if you think he's going to play 17 games or even 12 plus, it could happen, but recent history would suggest that is not the case. Now, last year was better than prior seasons on the health front, but he still missed 7 games. It's not like he went out there and played 15. So that is something certainly notable. I think from an on-field fit, it makes sense, but just factor in the injuries there. I want to know from you guys before we give more thoughts here. Would you sign Michael Thomas, type S for sign or type P for pass? Let me know in the comment section down below. I think I would take a flyer here because I do think the Chiefs should add another player to the mix at receiver. I do expect Rice to get suspended at least 4 games. That's just the feeling I get. And but at the same time, I don't think you're like screwed at receiver. So I think Thomas is kind of like the perfect blend of you take a flyer. If he doesn't give you much or anything, no harm, no foul. But if he does, it could be a huge bonus. I mean, maybe he ends up being a guy, even when Rice returns, that plays quite a bit. You never know. I think he gives you an underneath weapon, which I like as well, because when you think about what the Chiefs have in their wide receiver room, they have burners, man. They have it's a 4 wide, by the way, Coop. They have guys that can really go with Xavier Worthy and guys like Marquise Brown, obviously, can really stretch the field. But if Rashee Rice is going to miss time, then I don't know who's going to be that possession type of receiver. Now, obviously, Kelsey's going to give you a lot of that, but they already started last year kind of limiting his snaps a little bit. Now, maybe a Jared Wiley comes in, gives you some of that underneath weapon as well, backs out of the backfield. But Michael Thomas is worth the flyer. It's not going to cost much money. And if he hits, hey, you may have a pretty good player on your hands. Speaking of Xavier Worthy, get yourself a jersey today at chatsports.com/Worthy. That link is going to be in the comments and in the description. It's chatsports.com/Worthy. He's been dealing with a minor hammy issue. We'll talk about him later on in the show. But get yourself a jersey right now. Click and shop today if you want a Xavier Worthy jersey. All right, how about Hunter Renfrow, another receiver that is still out there? Report circulating that he could sign with the team soon. The Chiefs have been a team that have been mentioned here. Also, the Saints for him to reunite with Derek Carr in New Orleans potentially, and especially if they're not going to bring back Michael Thomas, which it sounds like they're not. Maybe Renfrow stays in the AFC West and tries to reignite his career with Patrick Mahomes. his last 4 seasons. Obviously, 2021 really stands out when it looked like he was going to become one of the best pure slot receivers in the NFL. And then, in my opinion, a big reason for his downfall, 2 things. 1, Josh McDaniels didn't know how to use him. 2, he suffered a concussion early on in 22 against Arizona Cardinals. I want to say it was week 2. He has not looked like the same player since. I really do think that was one of those major concussions, and I think it's impacted his play. And obviously, the past 2 years haven't gone well for, I'm sure, a variety of reasons. I think the 2 I mentioned are pretty evident, the concussion and just the fit with McDaniels for whatever reason, which is weird because McDaniels, when he was with New England, they found receivers like that all the time to contribute. The Wes Welkers of the world, the Chris Hogans of the world, but could never put it all together with Renfrow in Vegas. Now, if you're the Chiefs, a couple of reasons to sign him is 1, it gives you a true slot. Now, those guys are losing some value because in today's NFL, really good offenses like to move their guys around, guys that can play outside and slot. Renfrow can't play on the outside, so you've got that going on. Also, he knows the AFC West. So he's played against these defenses for a while. He knows where to exploit some of the weaknesses. And then number 3 is he gives you security for a potential and likely Rashee Rice suspension guy who could put on the field even if he's not a full-time player, and he'll know what to do. He's not going to make some glaring mistake and run the wrong route or something like that, which sounds simple, but how many times last year were Chiefs receivers running the wrong routes, dropping the football? That's 2 things that Renfrow's pretty reliable on. He's got good hands, and he runs good, and he runs good routes and reliable routes. So I'm open to it. I thought the last year and a half in particular were pretty alarming. I didn't think he played that well, but maybe you work him out and you see how he looks, and see what Patrick thinks. If Mahomes signs off on it, I would trust his eyes when it comes to a wide receiver. Now, pick one. Who would you rather have? Type MT for Michael Thomas or HR for Hunter Renfrow. Give me your thoughts in the comments. I think I'd take the swing on Thomas. I think the upside's greater. I think he can play in the slot as well. He's got more versatility as someone who can play both outside and the slot. Obviously, more injury risk there. But again, since the concussion issue with Renfrow, it's not like he's performed. So I would take the swing on Thomas. I think the money's going to be similar regardless. Maybe Thomas costs a tick more, but maybe it's also an incentive-laden deal where it doesn't really impact the salary cap all that much. All right, before we get out of here, week 2 of OTAs. Chiefs have 3 more practices this week, Tuesday through Thursday, as they will be back on the practice field. The main thing I'm keeping an eye on is that hamstring issue with Xavier Worthy. Is he going to be back at practice this week? Because obviously he tweaked it last week, the one day the media was at practice. Andy Reid said he had tweaked it earlier in the week. Not sure when that happened, but he was not out there the last day of practice, last 2 days, I believe. So we'll see if he's back out there. My gut tells me that he will not be out there. I think he will miss this week because soft tissue, month of May, no reason to push it. Like, the one thing you'd hate to do is turn a minor strain or even a minor pull into like a grade 2 strain where he's out a month or something like that. You want him healthy for training camp. So I would sit him out. And minicamp in a couple of weeks, maybe he's back for that. So I would rather have him out there for those practices than the ones right now. Continue the rehab. Once he's full go, get him back on the practice field. All right, Chiefs Kingdom, that's going to do it for the Chiefs Report. Enjoy the holiday tomorrow. We'll be back at it on Tuesday here on the show.